Being a dad is tough. There's no bones about it, especially financially. But I want to show you how you can go from living from paycheck to paycheck to having enough to invest not just in your future, but in the future of your family and your child. I'm Doug, and 5 years ago, I had 44 grand in debt. That's pounds, by the way. I had put my whole life on hold, including trying for my first child. Fast forward to today, and I have almost £100,000 invested, and I'm expecting the birth of my child any day now. Super exciting. Now, I was able to turn it around, and I want to show you how you can do the same. But to do that, you're going to have to avoid these 5 bad habits with money that I was doing that were keeping me poor and that you are probably doing too. So if you want to go from deadbeat dad to financially fit, then you need to listen up. Now, when I found out I was in debt, I had to look at my behavior and my situation and start to really go through it with a fine-tooth comb. What I found were these 5 wealth-killing habits. And once I stopped them, I was able to stop worrying about money and losing sleep over it and start enjoying spending it. Let's go through those habits together right now. So bad habit number 1, not knowing where you're at. Now, this absolutely killed me. You see, as a stuntman, I was earning good money. I thought I'm earning enough money that I don't need to really worry about where it's going. I thought budgeting was for poor people, investing was for rich people, and I was bang in the middle, and I was in the place where you just spend money. So I was going to Bali for 8 weeks at a time. I was buying a Rolex. I had a drop-top Mercedes. I was enjoying just spending my money, going out partying in my favorite Ted Baker blazers. And little did I know that I was in debt for actually 2 years. I was in debt without even knowing. So I'm paying interest on debt while I'm spending like I'm this flush celebrity. You've got to know where you are to know if you're spending the right amount. Otherwise, you just don't know. It's like being in the middle of the ocean without a map. You've got to know where you are so you can plan out how to get where you want to be. What I had was I was living too much in the moment. I was just spending, going, it'll all work out. And guess what? It didn't work out, because you don't just stumble into a financially stable situation. You have to work at it. So the first thing you got to do is know where you're at. And that's where things like budgeting, things like checking your cash flow, your expenses, your income, using apps can really help you know where you are. And a great number for this is your net worth. Knowing your numbers will put you into such a strong position, because then you'll be able to do something that, I love the phrase, it goes, act your wage. Instead of act your age, act your wage, where you spend appropriately to how much money you have or what financial situation you're in. Because I wasn't doing that, and all I was doing was digging myself into a deeper and deeper hole. Now, the mess that I was in, the 44 grand debt to the taxman, actually came from bad habit number 2, which is not opening your mail or ignoring your mail altogether. Now, here in the UK, we've got an interesting system. We have these brown envelopes that come through from HMRC, which means that they come from the government, means they're very important. It's a great way to know actually that thing's super important. If you don't open anything else, open that thing. Now, they used to send out a letter telling you how much tax you owed. And the system I used was I'd wait for that bit of mail, then open it, check it, and go, oh, I owe this much. I guess I'll pay this much. Remember, I've got money coming in pretty regularly at this time, and I think the money will never stop. How wrong I was. That mail had arrived fairly consistently, but for whatever reason, it stopped arriving. What had arrived was a letter saying, during COVID, we're not going to send these letters anymore. And what I ended up doing was going, oh, okay, I guess I'll deal with that at another stage. And what happened to me was that I neglected to pay my tax without even knowing, because I didn't get the letter, I didn't pay my tax, and so I went into debt. Now, another letter that came through during this time was about a parking fine. And because I was so busy working, making that money, I didn't have time to action this letter. I forgot about it. I moved house, and the bailiffs kept sending the letter to my house saying, hey, you have to pay more. It was 2 parking fines. And eventually they called me. When the bailiffs get your details, they called you direct. And they were like, hey, you owe us 5 grand. I thought, 5 grand for a parking ticket? And they're like, yeah, because this is from April and it's December. And I realized my problem was just being disorganized. I just ignored mail. So let me tell you, you can spend a lot of money. You can get in the red very quickly if you just ignore your mail. So be organized. If it's not with anything else, I'm not a super organized person, but I'm now organized with the mail. And when things come up, I action them straight away and make a note of it on my phone or some system that I trust. So above all else, do not ignore your mail and end up paying over the odds for things like parking fines. Now, a lot of what was going on with my expenses were not so much to do with, I guess, things that I wanted as much as my bad habit number 3, which was trying to impress others. Now, if anything like me, you've probably spent a bit of time wanting to attract the opposite sex, all right? In our single days, that was what it's all about. And so I spent over the odds, but I found I was someone who really hid behind material things. So the Rolex, the car I spoke about, the Canada Goose jackets, all of those things were like, I wanted to show my wealth to other people. And that's why this bad habit number 3, trying to impress others, is such a killer, because there's no end to it. You know, there's always something else you need to impress someone. There's always some way you can convince yourself that you're not good enough because you don't have that thing. What I needed to do was actually work on myself, not buy more things to hide myself. And the realization for me was that I was buying things to impress people I didn't even care about, which is that famous line from Fight Club. You know, we all purchase things that we don't need to impress people we don't even like or don't even like us. And so all of my money was at showing my wealth instead of accumulating my wealth. And that's kind of the trap of the middle class. We like to have things to look more rich than we are to impress the people next door. This is what the classic keeping up with the Joneses is, or lifestyle creep. You've got to avoid this at all costs. You've got to remember that life is about more than this, and materialistic things, as nice as they are, aren't worth, either going to debt for or spending your hard-earned money for if you don't have investments, if you're not looking after your family and friends. Who you should be impressing is your family. And the way you impress your family is by making sure that they are protected. Your job as a dad is to be a protector and a provider, not a guy that's trying to show off all the time. All right, try remember that. Don't try and impress others, try and impress your family. Now, one of the quickest ways that people find to start accumulating the things they need to impress others is usually debt, usually in the form of credit card. So bad habit number 4 is believing in free money. Now, I just want to say off the bat, I don't believe that credit cards are necessarily bad things. They're not. Bad use of credit cards are bad things, okay? And that comes down to you and your behavior. But generally, don't believe in free money. A credit card is not free money. It's not like, oh, I don't have the money so I can use my credit card. The idea of a credit card is to build a line of credit, a good credit score, so that when you come to lend money, they can give it to you when you get a mortgage, which is good debt. And there's a difference between good debt and bad debt, which we can get into on a one-to-one call or in the comment section below, but not right now. With credit cards, your APR is 22%. It means you're going to get charged 22% on what you spend that you haven't paid back. So the general rule with credit cards is only purchase things on your credit card that you have covered with your bank, with your current account, that you can cover immediately. And at the end of every month, it should be automated to pay it off in full. The reason I say this is because some people will invest money and then have a line of credit that they haven't paid for. You're going to be hard pressed to beat 22% in the stock market. Okay, it just doesn't really happen. So if you invested and you're getting, let's say 10%, but your credit card is charging you 22%, you're actually down 12% overall. So make sure you don't believe in free money. Make sure you clear that credit card when it comes to the end of the month. You don't just pay the minimums. You get rid of that every month. You build up that credit score, but you don't go into credit with them. When you do, you are an asset to the credit card company. That's how they make their money. Don't do this. Einstein said that compounding is the 8th wonder of the world, and those who understand it earn it, and those who don't pay it. Don't be the idiot that pays it. I don't mean you're an idiot. It happens to everyone, but don't be the person that pays it. Don't get taken for a ride. Make sure you pay it off in full and just be done with it. Now, someone else you should be paying every single month is not just the credit card companies, but yourself. And this is bad habit number 5, paying everyone else except yourself. So let me ask you, how do you decide how much you need to invest? For most people, what they'll do is go, okay, well, I have my bills, I have my coffee, I have my Spotify premium account, I have my escape rooms, that's what I love doing, I have my paddle tennis, and then at the end of the month you go, I'll just see what I have left and I'll invest that. And guess what? It comes to the end of the month and there's no money left, because humans are great at that. They're great at using all the resources that they have. So what do you do about it? Well, you do the exact opposite. You don't purchase all those things and see what you have left. You decide how much you want to save and you pay yourself first. I like to say save yourself first, because that's probably more correct. You're not paying yourself first, you're saving yourself first. I told you at the beginning that I was indexed in the present moment. I was buying things and enjoying myself in this moment at the expense of my future self. I want you to do the opposite when it comes to the first of the month or wherever you get paid. You look after future you first. Trust me, he's going to love you for it. Make sure you take out some money, put it aside, and then spend what's left over. Now, you may start and go, I don't have anything spare, but something really interesting happens. When you take that money out first, you quickly just adjust and you don't have as many coffees, or you don't go out to dinner as many times. And if you want a quick tip, the top 3 things people spend money on across the board are housing, transport, and food. Chances are you can save on one of those things and have some money to put aside. Now, if you're a bit nervous about this, start conservative. Be like 50, 100 pounds a month put aside, and you'll be shocked. At the end of the month, you don't miss it. In the same way, if you get some extra money or pay rise, you quickly don't notice that extra money because you find a way to spend it. The same happens when you save. If you save first, you quickly find a way to adapt to that situation. So get used to paying yourself first or saving yourself first. Now, what happens with a lot of people is they start doing this and they get kind of geeky, like, oh, I'm enjoying this, and they start putting more and more aside. So you want to build this habit of putting money aside instead of paying other people first. Okay, those are the 5 habits that are probably keeping you poor, that certainly kept me poor. If you want 5 more tips on how to save money as a dad, in the description below, I have a link to a PDF. I want you to go check it out. It's for free. Check it out. Link is below. I look forward to seeing you next time.